All right, everybody. Hope everybody else is doing well this Monday night. We're glad to have you guys on here. Man, what a weekend. This is actually a really great bonus session from Note Camp 6. We always keep the spot open for rockstars, and honored to have our special guest tonight, which will bring him on live here in a second. But before we do, let's get rock and rolling. A little bit of announcements. Once again, welcome to Note Night in America. We have these webinars just about every Monday night for the most part, provided it's not a holiday or I'm not on a plane somewhere. But we've got a variety of people that are on the call tonight. We have note investors, real estate investors, people interested in learning a little bit more about note investing. These calls are recorded. I'll make sure I hit the record button. I sure did. And you can always catch the replays of these also at weclosenotes.tv, or we also take the episodes and upload them on iTunes as well as its own specific podcast for Note Night in America. So check it out. Feel free to share it if you like it, listening to it. Leave her a 5-star review, and we're glad to have you here. But anyway, once again, everybody, always start off by sharing. We have a 5-year goal. We started this at the beginning of this year to help educate and create over 10,000 note investors. Pretty exciting. We've had over 7,000 people join us on Note Night in America alone here in 2018. Pretty stoked about that. We hit our 1-year mark about a week ago, with over 2,100 students of some sort for this year. So we're on pace to hit that number by the time that rolls around. But literally, I want to go through some quick upcoming event schedule, things to mark your calendars with. Our final virtual note buying workshop of the year is November 30th through December 2nd. That's online. December Note Mastermind kicks off December 7th, 8th, and 9th in Cape Coral, Florida, down at the Westin Resort. We're actually going to be doing a note investor meetup on the 6th. At 6:30 as well at the Westin Cape Coral Resort. So you're coming in. Check out. We got a few sneak peek spots left available if you want to come in and see what the Note Mastermind is all about. Our first fast track training of January is 11th through the 13th here in Austin. I'll be then heading to the Bahamas. Yeah, for the Mr. Landlord Retreat, the 16th to the 19th, the Atlantis Resort. Looking forward to that. I know some of you guys are interested in Jillian Sidoti's crowdfunding convention. She just let me know this weekend that they've got their date set at in Orlando, the 7th and 8th. Then we have our first virtual note buying workshop of the year, February 15th to the 17th. And then I'll be in San Diego after that, February 25th to the 27th for the big traffic and conversion summit. About 7 other marketers out there. So pretty stoked about that. And then our March fast track training is the 15th to the 17th. So if you're looking to get something rocking and rolling, definitely want to take us up in January or March because those dates are going to fill up fast. But otherwise, man, we had a great time this last 4 days. Over 450 people were on Note Camp. Over 10,000 views across the social media channels. Over 1,000 posts from you guys out there sharing different content or sharing images. So thank you. Hopefully you all learned a lot from it. Enjoying the reviews, enjoying what people are sharing online there. So excited about that. But we are honored to have our guest on here in a little bit, who is a part of this. So it's not over yet. We've got tonight's webinar, and we got another webinar tomorrow night as well. But any questions about the schedule we talked about before we bring on Mr. Brecht Palombo? Any questions from anybody out there as well that either is watching here on Zoom or watching on the Facebook Live as well? We can always come back to questions as well. So, all right, cool. Well, then we will move into it and bring on our buddy who is, let's bring him on here, him start his video. Join us from the West Coast tonight after a fun, I guess, luckily, I'm glad you're alive. That's what I want to say, Brett. Glad you're alive, brother. All right.
Yeah, a little sore. First off, let me say, you're like the hardest working man in the note business. I can't believe that schedule that you got coming up there. I'm not sure when you do anything else.
Well, I don't do anything else. I don't have kids, so I can get away with that. I got, anytime you go to the Bahamas, it's kind of, I guess speak for like.
Sure. I mean, if you call that work, right?
Yeah, exactly. Going to traffic conversion summit in San Diego, that's not really work. I'll enjoy that in San Diego. I mean, when you enjoy what you do, like you do, it's not work, right, Brett?
Hallelujah. Yeah. So San Diego, I was there last week for sort of a mini summit. I get together a couple times a year with other guys who have similar businesses to mine. And they've got these things there, scooters, the electric scooters. They're all over the streets. You get an app, you walk up, you unlock it, you ride away. It costs you $1 or whatever. Well, they were just the greatest thing the whole time we were there. Then it got a little nutty. And I had an accident on one of those things. I must have been going, I don't know, 15 miles an hour or something like that. Hit the pavement, and I got a cracked rib. My face is healed up, and that's good. So I appreciate you excusing my absence on the. I know we talked about doing an earlier session in the weekend, but much better for me to be here. So watch out when you're in San Diego for those.
We got those damn things here in Austin, Texas, too.
Yeah.
When I was down on 6th Street last weekend, and literally almost got taken out by 3 or 4 guys. I'm like, you can't be riding these on the sidewalks.
Yeah, they're great after 6 or 8 cocktails. You should get right on there. No helmet at all.
Well, I'm glad you're happy. I'm sure your wife and kids are happy too. So take some medication. It's good that you got a couple days of relaxation here around Thanksgiving, huh?
That's right, if that's what you call it. All right. So should we get into it here?
Let's dive into it. We got a good chunk of people on here, and have you pull up your slides and introduce yourself and rock it up?
Yeah. So can we do this? Can we have people? Is there a way to have them tell us if they've seen me talk before?
Yeah, we sure can. So if you're on here and you've seen Brett talk before, just put the chat roll. Say I have in the chat roll. It'd be the easiest thing. I know we've seen a few people in there. I've obviously seen you on the podcast from a few weeks ago.
Yep.
Good. Let's see here. So John, Aaron. Let's see here.
You got some.
Yeah, Clifton. We got a few.
All right, right on. Well, thanks for popping it in there. Well, I asked that just because if you've seen me speak before, then this isn't going to be new, okay? And here's the reason, okay, is that what we're going to talk about are the fundamentals, and the fundamentals don't change. And so I got some new slides, and we got new programs and some new offers, but I see we got about 21 responses there. If you've seen me speak before about this topic, I'm going to cover kind of the same things, which is I've found essential over the years is that we keep coming back to what are the fundamentals. So I'm not going to teach you one weird trick that's going to convert your life or anything like that. I'm going to teach you a proven process that many people have used. It's the same system all the time and in the same process. And so with that, what I like to kick these things off with is some data most of the time. Okay, if I click share my screen here and get going.
Yeah, it's totally fine. Just hit share your screen and
let's
just plop it up there.
All right.
And do you want me just to hold questions till the end, Brett, for the most part, or interject in as we get going? If it's relevant, do you want me to keep it in or no?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes what happens, I'll get doing these things, and someone will ask me, how do you value a note? And I'll be like, this is not the topic.
Yeah, we'll keep it on. Trust me, I'll kill those comments till the end. All right.
All right. Here we go. Got my screen okay there?
Yep. There we go.
So, here we go. This is the Case-Shiller Home Price Index, okay? These gray bars here are recessions. This was our past peak, and then look at this, bang, we're right back up there, okay? This is the Green Street Commercial Property Price Index. And what they do is they peg this to a 100 in June or July of 2007, I think it was, at the peak. And then here we are, bang, we're way above our pre-crisis peak, okay? If you're wondering what's going on out there in the market, if you're paying attention right now, you know that we're in a bit of a bubble, okay? Everywhere you look, CNBC, this is a Motley Fool, National Real Estate Investor, this is the National Mortgage News, this is Wolf Street. We're all talking about bubble, bubble, bubble. Now, this month, what we're seeing is we're seeing that in a lot of areas that bubble's been pricked, okay? Particularly in some of the higher flying areas like New York, in North Carolina, in Seattle, in Portland, in San Francisco, in LA. And it's interesting that this data that we have, because homeownership rate they're still at all-time lows. Okay, we're way back. So the percentage of people who actually own the home that they live in. The employment to population ratio, we hear all this like top line data about the unemployment rate being super low. But what's weird is how they get there, right? Because they just cut out all these people. The fact is that we're, in terms of the percentage of people who are working, we're way back to like 1986 in terms of the percentage of people who are able to work who are working. And here's the thing, residential loan delinquency, it's stubbornly historically high. In fact, it's at about 247% of pre-global financial crisis levels. Wow. So, and that's our current default rate. So what that says is that even as we've had the markets come up and pricing come up and all that, still a lot of people are still struggling to pay their bills and to pay mortgages. And so here's the thing we know is that bubbles always pop, okay? But here's the thing is that profits are made, oh, I got a typo there, when you buy. And I know that, you know, the people who I know who are real like moguls in the business, who own just tons of stuff, a lot of them got started back in the RTC days. And if you don't know what that is, this is a time after the S&L crisis, and the RTC was this
Resolution Trust Corp.
Right, which was set up just to clean up the mess. And during that time, a lot of people, there were a ton of deals out there. And the thing is that in the business, in real estate, it's much, much easier to make your money when you buy. So even though we're coming into this time where values are coming down, I wouldn't take that to mean that I should get out of real estate altogether or get out of notes altogether. In fact, it's probably one of the best times to be in notes because you're going to be more insulated because you are so low in the stack, right? The equity gets wiped out first, right? The owners get wiped out first. Meanwhile, you're secure either receiving your payments or collecting on the collateral through an asset sale, right? So I think that in a time like this, notes, there's no better place to be than in notes. You know, it's not the stock market, it's not Bitcoin if you're following that pricing today. Owning the debt on that's secured by real estate, that is the place to be, in my opinion, in this kind of climate. So what's the biggest challenge in the note business, though, is that, well, there are some. There's internet joker broker chains, you know, folks out there who know a guy who know a guy who knows a guy or a gal, right? There's this recycled product. People who you know, I've seen tapes that are years old kind of get passed around out there. There's a lot of folks out there who kind of bought wrong and they're looking to get more than their assets are worth. There's just a lot of people trying to jam themselves into transactions. And we're seeing a lot of competitive bidding for some of the best assets. And so finding notes is the biggest problem, right? Finding notes that actually make sense is the biggest challenge in notes today. In fact, there is no note business until you find the note, right? It doesn't matter what you do for analysis or due diligence. If you don't have assets, there's nothing to do. So finding notes is the most important thing, and it's probably the most difficult thing that there is to do today. Here's the thing, is that banks sell notes, and they continually generate notes. In good times and in bad, lenders are out there, they're making loans. Some of those loans go bad, and then they're disposing of those loans either by selling them or by foreclosing on and then collecting on them. And this is a regular, repeat, recurring process that they're in all of the time. Today, there are about 11,282 banks and credit unions in the United States. That's a duplicate slide. We'll get past that. And so what I'm going to walk you through here is a proven 3-step system for sourcing bank direct notes from these institutions. So why banks? So institutions like banks, they are repeat, non-emotional sellers of distressed assets. And if you think about that, when we talk about repeat, how many distressed sellers do you know sell on a repeat basis, right? They don't. Private sellers aren't selling in a distressed manner again and again. Like you might find certain funds or whatever who are doing that. But for the most part, if somebody's taken a bath on some stuff, they're not then selling again. You're not having like a friendly relationship where, oh, I'll sell to you when I'm in trouble again next time. Banks do this over and over and over again. Non-emotional, if you've ever dealt with any private sellers at all, you know that when it doesn't matter what the thing is, it's worth way more in their minds than it's worth to anybody else on the planet. You can go and you talk to them about their property, and as you walk around it, and they'll reminisce about the toilet that they put in and the swing in the backyard and all that. And there's nothing but emotion wrapped up in their assets. And that makes the whole deal cloudy and more difficult. And so when we're talking about repeat non-emotional sellers, I think that if you're going to build a big business, that's a place to be, because it's something that you can work on, you can count on, you can grow with, and you can scale. Okay. If you're direct institutional sellers, you're looking at repeat deals, you cut out the middlemen, you'll get much better pricing, and you have this like continuous product that just keeps coming. And that helps you sort of defend your margins and protect your profits. And so here's the things that most of what you heard about finding notes, especially from banks for sale, is BS, except of course, what you've heard from Scott and his friends. So here's what we're going to cover today.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
We're going to crush the biggest myths about getting notes from banks. I'm going to walk you through a proven 3-step system for sourcing notes. I'm going to show you how to use our software, which is called Bank Prospector. It's been around since 2009. I'm going to show you how that aids in the process. Then I'm going to give you an opportunity to try it risk-free if you decide that this is something that you want to do with yourself. So why would you listen to me? First, let me say this, folks. I don't come from a long line of bankers. I don't have any special connections. I didn't finish college. And so there's no reason that I should have had any particular success in this. I didn't have any special leg up. I didn't, like, none of that. Okay. So I'm the founder of DistressPro.com. I'm a licensed broker and auctioneer in a number of states. I've completed more than $200 million in asset sales for lenders and closed over 300 transactions for them. I started full-time in real estate back in 2001. And I started selling assets for banks in 2006. And I've been very fortunate to enjoy the company of dozens of experts. One of the things that I pride myself on, and I'm very proud of with regards to Distress Pro, is that a lot of the content that goes into there, and the indicators, like the sale indicators and the different numbers that we look at, this all comes from various experts who have had, collectively many decades. I haven't counted it all, but we must be coming up on a century of experience just in doing this. And so that's where what I'm going to show you comes from today. It's not just something we sort of made up a process. This is a process that's been distilled from a lot of experts. And so here's what we're going to cover. Oh, we covered this already. Geez, got a lot of duplicate slides in there. Sorry about that. Here's some of the kinds of deals that I've done for banks. There's a $40 million hotel note over here, subdivisions, small commercial office properties, multifamily properties, broken condo conversions, portfolios of gas stations, and yes, individual residential homes. So let's get into crushing some of these myths. So first thing is, a lot of people believe that everything gets foreclosed on and then sold as REO. And the fact is that more than ever, lenders are looking to sell notes rather than foreclose. Selling notes speeds up recovery. It reduces administrative costs, and it helps avoid municipal entanglements. So that cry out there that, oh, it all gets listed with the realtor, it's just not so. Banks won't deal with you direct. You're probably calling on the wrong banks. In the next section, I'm going to show you how to call on the right banks. Calling on distressed property owners. I don't know anybody who's had success with this. Owners have nothing to do with the sale of their notes. So they have no rights to their paper whatsoever. The lender owns the paper, and the property owner has the right to be in the property so long as they're paying the note. So calling property owners to buy their note is not going to get you anywhere. There's no more product. I hear this a lot. There's just not anything left out there. Well, fact is that lenders are always making loans. Loans are always going bad. And today, as we looked at, saw, residential defaults are still way above pre-crisis levels, but almost 250%. So here it is. So step one is we want to identify our target banks. All successful prospecting. This doesn't matter if, it doesn't matter what you're selling. If you don't start with the list, a good list, then it doesn't matter what you do, you're not gonna have good results. So you have to start with the list. So successful prospecting starts with the list. It's in any prospecting, you need to do this. So with more than 11,000 lenders in the US, you just can't call them all. You gotta focus on those who are the most qualified, most likely sellers, okay? So which banks should you put on your list to start with? I'm going to suggest that you start with qualified community, local, and regional lenders. Local lenders, when possible, if you can get in, you can find a way to actually sit down with them. You're going to learn so much faster than if you don't have that opportunity. So there are thousands of lenders. There are some in your area that you can go get a sit with. And I'm going to suggest that you avoid your top 20 banks. So Chase, Wells, B of A, don't bother calling on these guys right now. Let's cut our teeth somewhere else where there's less red tape, where we can get more direct, right to real decision makers, where those people can make a call and decide to do business. Top 20, they're harder to connect with the right person. There's more vetting of you and more procedure to go through. There's more bureaucracy, and typically there's larger deal sizes required. And if you don't know what you're doing yet, right, you're on this call today, there's no reason for you to go. A lot of people, it's like elephant hunting. They see that, they want to run off and chase these things down. I recommend you don't do that. So that leaves just 11,262 lenders for you to call, right? Well, if you call 10 every workday, it'll just take you 5 years and 7 months to get through that list once, right? So that doesn't work. That's not really a process. So step one, what I suggest you do is you start with a manageable list of prime targets, okay? And these are your target banks. And some of them you won't be able to reach. Some of them, they just won't sell to you, but some will. And those are the ones that we're looking for, okay? Simple one.
And this works. This totally works. Love it. Love it, love it, love it.
So I'm going to suggest that you set a goal to get just 5 to 10 sellers that you can work with. If you have 5 to 10 sellers who are selling even just once or twice a year, think about, Scott, what's a small portfolio for a bank to sell, or a small deal to do bank direct like that?
20, 30. We do that. I mean, I've gotten one-offs before, but some of them will send out once a quarter, like Synovus's bank, like the Bank of Georgia, Bank of Tennessee, they'll have a quarterly sale. Yeah. It just varies from bank to bank, you know what I mean, a little bit, but they still have stuff on a regular basis. That's the beautiful thing. Yeah, totally. And it's not uncommon. If you are getting 1 or 2 deals from 5 or 10 sellers, you're talking about tens of millions of dollars probably in transactions in UPB. Fair? And it's cleaner paper too, because it's direct from the source. The collateral's there, the notes are there, servicing, it's a much cleaner transaction. Yep, I's are dotted, T's are crossed for sure. So just 5 to 10 repeat sellers is gonna make a big book of business for you. So what I suggest that you do, rather than get into our 11,262, is we're going to pre-qualify our prospects with good research up front. So here's what you need to know to start making your target list. Banks report on 12 categories of non-performing notes. So the first thing we want to know is, do they have what we're looking for? And the things that they report are 1 to 4 family first position,
junior liens, HELOCs or lines of credit, owner-occupied commercial, non-owner occupied commercial, multifamily or apartments, which is 5+ residential units, commercial construction and land held for development, 1 to 4 family construction, farmland and agricultural land, C&I debt, which there's an increasing interest in. Folks, if you're out there and you're making calls to lenders and you're finding some of this, there are a lot of buyers right now. Consumer credit cards and auto loans. I'm actually talking to an auto loan guy who's been doing nothing but that for years tomorrow. So first pass is, we want to know, do they have some of this that we're looking for? That's the very first thing that you need to know. And then the second thing you need to understand is the way that things are moving through the lenders. And they go through 4 stages of default in terms of how these things are categorized and bucketed within the lenders. So 30 days late and still accruing interest, 90 days late and still accruing. Then it moves into non-accrual. So anything more than 90 days late is considered non-performing. So 90 days late and non-accrual together are non-performing. Non-accrual means that there's no longer any hope of those assets being repaid according to terms. That's the technical definition for that. Finally, if it goes through this and they don't sell the paper or they don't fix it, then it gets into REO, okay? So this is kind of your sweet spot right here. So phase 2, I think you should ask some qualifying questions of your target list. And there's a couple ways we can do that. But here are the questions that I like to ask. And I would ask these, when I say ask these, I'm not calling up and asking them. This is what I'm asking the data. I'm looking at the data and I'm saying, what are the answers to these qualifying questions? Do they have assets in my area? What types of assets are they preparing to sell? In which portfolios are they having the most trouble? Do they have non-performing assets specifically held for sale? Do they have a history of selling non-performing assets? Do they see their portfolios improving or deteriorating? And finally, what's the maximum deal size potential? Now, there's other information that you can glean before ever talking with them, but this is sort of the core first pass that I go through in order to determine, does this bank go on my target list? And so there are answers to these. So typically banks, with few exceptions, are lending where their office locations are. If they're taking charge-offs, this is how they prepare their books to take a hit. If their non-performing loans to loans ratio is more than 6%, this is an indicator that they're having trouble in that specific portfolio. If they have late non-accrual loans held for sale, there's a specific bucket they put it in, that's a good indicator that they're a seller. If they have sold non-accrual assets in the past, that's a good indicator that they have a process internally for dealing with it. If they have, when we look at their loan loss provisions, this indicates what their future outlook is. And so all banks have a bucket that they put their, it's like a rainy day bucket, and it's called the allowance for loan and lease losses. And so any money that they put in there, and they're required by regulators to put money in there, any money that they have in there, they cannot lend on that. So the banks are in the business of lending and then making money on what they lend. And so for every dollar that they have to put set aside for the rainy day and they don't get to lend, they're not making money. And so loan loss provisions, if you imagine allowance for loan and lease losses is like the rainy day bucket, well, this is the scoop, is the loan loss provisions. And that's how much is either going in or coming out of there. So we look at that to see what they're thinking about their portfolio. So there are free resources for prospecting. You can go out there and you can do this yourself. And I did this before, way back when I first got started in 2006. I was up to my neck in spreadsheets. And so, which is part of the reason why I built Bank Prospector. But you can go to the FDIC.gov. You can download their bulk bank reports. The pros are you get it for free and you get the bulk data. The cons are it comes out 1.5 to 2 months later than the data that we have. It's, unless you're really good with Excel, it's kind of hard to work with, and there's no searching or anything like that. There's the FFIEC, and I'm not going to go through all this right now. I'm actually, at the very end, I have a DIY kit. You can download that. You'll download a zip file. It has instructions and it has all this laid out for you. So you'll know exactly, I don't have to cover this now. You can do this if you're interested in doing it on your own. And then the ncua.gov. So this is what it looks like when you download a report. You'll have a PDF and they'll have line items like this. So this bank non-accrual assets sold during the quarter. In this particular report format, there'd be zeros. So this bank sold $241 million in change in non-accrual assets during that quarter. So this data is just out there for the finding, okay? And it's going to help you immensely in determining who to go after first, or if at all. You can do this on your own. This is what it looks like when you download the reports. You get this giant file full of CSVs, and then you can start opening them up, and they look like this. And so if that's what how you want to spend your time, you can do it all yourself, just like anything else. Like electricity, which I don't do, which I don't do myself anymore at all. There's only a few things I just definitely won't DIY.
That's shocking, Brett. That's really shocking on that aspect of it, all right?
So what Bank Prospector does is it automates prospect research for non-performing notes and REO. It's going to help you build a list of highly qualified prospects really just in minutes, and it's going to eliminate time-wasting research. We have guaranteed up-to-date information. We do nightly updates. So I kind of breezed through the FFIEC there. The FFIEC is an organization where all the banks kind of plug their servers in there, and then they file electronically, and they file their quarterly reports, but then they also file addendums throughout the quarter. And so each night we go and we pull from their servers and we download every new update. So you will start getting, when we have a reporting month, from the very first day that any lenders report, you'll have that information, which typically won't be on the FDIC for even a month and a half after the full reporting. So most of the time we have 2.5 to 3 months lead time on any manual search that you could do. So that brings us to step number 2. So first thing, right, we go and we pick our lenders, and maybe we find 25 or 50 or 100 lenders who seem like they could be, we'd have a good shot. Next thing that we want to do is we want to start identifying decision makers, because deals are done between people. So you got to find the right people. So they're not advertising that they've got non-performing assets for sale. We've got to find the right people. So a lot of folks want to do it like this. They want to go and they want to find a property in foreclosure, and then they'll see if maybe they can find the person who's responsible for that deal. I suggest that you do not do this, and that instead what you do is you find the person who is responsible for the assets, and then you do lots of deals with them. This is a much better way to do it. These are identifiable people within the organization, and it's going to bear much more fruit, much faster, much more quickly than trying to do anything like this. So find the people, not the property. They're not filing reports for individual whole loans. Now, this is one thing that a lot of people reach out to me and they say, well, how am I going to do this? Where's the list of the non-performing notes? Well, no, that's not what we're doing. We're not in Bank Prospector. We're not giving you a list of all of the non-performing notes for every bank. That would be wonderful. That is not possible today, because banks don't report any of that data. So they file their data in aggregate, meaning all lumped together in different buckets. They don't have to do any reporting on individual whole loans. Okay. So if you're looking up public records, you're going into public records to look for troubled assets. Most of the time, you're only going to find notices of default. And most of the time, that's too late. That means they've already gone through and engaged an attorney to foreclose. So an NOD is not really a helpful way to pursue that. There's just no public data for individual whole loans in default, which is good, because if you think about that, if you could just look up and see that Dick Jones's place is, 31 days behind in his mortgage, that's kind of a drag. I don't think I want to live in that world anyway. So don't try to track down individual assets. Make connecting with the right people in control of the assets your priority. I suggest that you find 1 to 3 decision makers for each of your targets. And I suggest that you do this first before you begin prospecting. Identify the contacts before you prospect. Don't do your research as you prospect. Find your prospects first, okay? Talk a little bit about that in a minute. Here's the deal, folks. If you make a sale, you make a living, right? But if you sell a relationship, you'll make a fortune. If you have folks who rely on you, who know that you can deliver, who know that you'll pull in Scott and anyone else who's needed to get the deal closed, and that you're going to perform, they will call you again and again and again, especially as things get a little hairy as we're going into whatever comes next in the economy here. So Bank Prospector, we've got decision makers for 98.5% of the institutions. Now, the way we used to do this is that we were plugged into LinkedIn and we were plugged into data.com, and we would let you go and get those contacts from there. What happened is that all of that kind of stuff went away. So there isn't anything we can plug into to get that info out anymore. And so we built a whole in-house team. So we built a big back-end application that's not open to the public. It's just for our researchers. And then I have full-time people who all they do is research and call and find contacts, full-time, all-time, day and night, okay? So we add 600 to 1,000 new contacts per month to the database. Today, we're coming up on 30,000 people. And we also have a contact research concierge service. So if you go to one of our lender records and you find that the particular contact or type of contact that you're looking for isn't there, you click a button, you say the title that you're looking for from one of our pre-approved lists of titles that we know to be worthwhile. And then someone on our research team goes and finds that contact, and you get an email with the contact information in your inbox. Or they come back and they say, hey, we already looked for that contact, it doesn't exist, or that one doesn't exist, but here's one that's similar. So in any case, we do all of that for you, totally done for you. And that's a combination of technology that we built in-house, plus a very well-trained team. And then that brings us to the next thing, which is our prospecting system. So we find the banks that we want to talk to. We find the people who work at those banks, right? And then the next thing is, I want you to add them to a prospecting system. And this is where a lot of folks fall down, okay? And we'll talk about why and how not to. So if this is what your typical funnel looks like, you're going to have a whole bunch of prospects. In this case, we're talking about, let's say that you had 50 banks and you're doing 1 to 3. We'll call it an average of 2 contacts. That's 100 contacts for 50 banks, right? So here they are, and then we're going to only speak with so many of them. There's only so many who we're actually going to be able to reach them, or they're going to get back to us. And then there's only so many who they're going to be like, yeah, maybe we can play ball. And then at the end of it, there's going to be deals. This is what it looks like no matter anything, any kind of deal making that you're doing. You're going to put them in the hopper down here, and you're going to get some percentage out down here. And so what happens between here and here should be scripted. It should be a thing where you say, okay, I've got this contact. What do I do with it? I do A, B, and C, and then we see what happens if I get to D, okay? So this is how most people approach prospecting. They're like, I'm going to do a little research there on the internet, and then I'll think about this for a little while, and then all right, I'm going to send an email, see how that goes, and then I don't know, I'm going to pick up that phone, not sure about that, and then I hope they reply, and then they get into this again, and then this is what they do. And so rather than having prospecting time, what they really have is they have some time at the computer where they're futzing around. And so I'm going to recommend you don't do this, that you go in, find your banks, find your list, take your list, put it into a system. And so let's talk about what the system looks like. A defined prospecting system. So There's three kinds of prospects. There are sellers who are ready to sell today. There are sellers who are ready to sell at a later date. And there are non-sellers. And we don't care about them. We're only looking for these two right here. So how do we find them? Well, I didn't make this up because there's no reason to reinvent the wheel. I'm a big fan of Gary Keller. Scott, do you know Gary Keller? Keller Williams?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Knows his stuff. The one thing, but he knows. I've had a chance to meet him. Actually, he used to office a short sale department that we used to run, literally out of the Keller Williams corporate office here in Austin.
Yeah, and he wrote Millionaire Real Estate Investor, and he wrote Millionaire Real Estate Agent, right?
Yep, exactly.
And so what those are all about is processes. And so I'm going to borrow from him because he's got a huge freaking business, right? So I recommend that you do an 8x8. And that means 8 touches over 8 weeks for your first pass. So I've got my 100, I pick a batch for this week, and then I'm going to find my now prospects with my 8x8. And so I'm going to take a batch of these, right? Whatever it's going to be, whatever your schedule allows. A lot of people are going to look at this and they're going to say, oh, geez, how am I going to, I don't have time to call 100. Well, do you have time to call 10? Because if you have time to do 10 this week and you do 10 next week and the week after that, pretty soon you have 100. By my count, it's just 10 weeks and you've got to 100. So I suggest that you set this up and then you add them in whatever manageable size batches you can do. And you do this on a schedule, okay? And it might look something like this. You might send an email, you might connect with them or hit them up on LinkedIn. You might send another email, you might give them a call. Say, hey, did you get my emails? You might even send them a letter. In fact, if you do, you're going to stand out today because nobody's doing that anymore. Send them another email, and then at some point, we're looking to do a deal. And so if we know what this looks like before we begin, then it's not very complicated at all. We have everything written out. We're not thinking about it. We're just taking our list and we're plugging it into a system. Now, it could be that you get to the end of this and your system didn't work that great. Well, we're going to have some analytics so that we can see, well, if I sent 100 emails and I got 5 replies, what could I do differently to get 10 replies or 20 replies? If you don't have a system like this, then you have no idea what you could do different. And I think that's a major trap that people fall into. They're not sure why it's not working, but they're not tracking anything that they're doing. So there's no way to fix anything that might be wrong. And so you want to avoid that. So assets that you'll need, and I'm not talking about real estate assets, but would be like a call script, some email templates, a couple of in-mail scripts, maybe some direct mail templates, something like that. Take a day, take a weekend, and sit down and map it out and say, okay, what's this going to look like when I call? What email am I going to send? Send that same email to all of your prospects first. And then we're going to evaluate performance and see how it's going. So you'll find later prospects. Now, this is going to get a little bit more advanced, but this is again from Keller, a 33 touch. And so what a 33 touch is 33 touches over the course of a year. And this is how you're going to find your later prospects. Okay, so your 33 touch annual follow-up. And what I talked about relationships a little bit earlier. And this is really where that starts to come into play, is send them a holiday card, put them on the holiday card list, send them market updates. Are you paying attention to the market areas where they're lending, where you're buying? You should be. Send them an email that says, hey, this is the market. I don't know if you saw this, but here's something interesting that's happening in the market right now. Interesting articles. Give them a call quarterly. Make an introduction to somebody you think that might be helpful for them. These kinds of things where if you do this, you're going to be very hard to ignore. So when the opportunity does pop up, you're going to be there top of mind. Because if they're only selling once or twice a year, right? If you call them today, there might be nothing on their radar. They might get a stack of files on their desk Monday after the holiday here, that stuff that's got to go before the end of the year. Happens all the time. And if you're there, you're going to get a shot. If you're not there, then you won't. And it's as simple as that. find out their birthday, meet them at conferences. One of the things that really helped me out a lot was I went to the American Bankruptcy Institute conferences. It's a $99 a year membership to belong to that thing, and you get access to all kinds of attorneys who work for, frequently work for banks. Go to TMA, the Turnaround Management Association. You'll meet all kinds of workout officers and special assets people. Send them articles. Give them a call. This is what something like a 33 touch would look like. And again, it's scripted. So you take a document, take a spreadsheet, and just write it out. Well, what would I do? And what are the dates? And just put it down. And that's it. And then take your contacts, put it in there. Does it work? This is Paul Marshall, $22 million in UPB in about 6 months from a cold start. Began calling in September, October, closed his first deal in February, March. It was a huge deal for him. It's almost $240,000 in point. He represented the seller in the sale of these notes to a private buyer, and just a fantastic deal. Joe Bayarina, I don't know if you want to talk about his deal at all, Scott. 33 non-performing notes out of, I'm not sure if that's what the end number was, out of Texas.
The final, it was funny. This is a great deal. Final funding amount was at 1.1. I think it was 31 notes. 23 of them were performing with equity. All right.
Yeah.
It was a portfolio on a bank in San Antonio. All these assets are in San Antonio. The bank wanted to sell off the loans in this one particular portfolio, and they sold it at 45 cents of the unpaid balance. Okay, 8 of them were non-performing. The other 23 were performing, basically.
Yeah,
and it's just been a killer deal for them.
Yeah, and the thing about that, right? So the reason they sold those was because they were out of the box, right? They no longer fit in the lending box for that lender. They didn't want these anymore. And that is not uncommon. They'll change guidelines for whatever reason, sometimes regulatory, sometimes I think in this case, they had a special program or whatever. And so I actually got a call from a bank out of Lubbock with a thing just like this, and a little package of commercial stuff that just didn't fit in the box anymore. And so it had to go. And that kind of thing happens all the time. This is Eric Williams, 2.2 million UPB note pool, and found it very, very quickly. So I know we've already been on for 52 minutes. Let me just get into a little bit of this. I'll show you the software if you want for just a minute, then we'll take some questions. So Bank Prospector Expert, we've got 100% of the banks and credit unions in there in the United States. We've got a local lender search. We'll help you pinpoint targets with what's called our advanced search, which I'll show you in a minute. We'll show you note portfolio information, key seller indicators, so you can really hone in. You can save your searches, and we actually have some features coming out where you'll get notified as different things happen within the portfolio, so you don't have to keep checking. We've got contacts now for all but the smallest banks. The banks that we don't have contacts for are they're like one office in the middle of North Dakota, like that kind of bank. Like we've got many, like I said, almost 30,000 contacts, and we're adding 600 to 1,000 per month. We've got the concierge contact request, like we talked about, and then we've got the advanced contact exporting. And the reason we built this was because some people are pulling the data into their CRMs or their mailing systems or even power dialers in order to be more efficient and scale their systems for prospecting. And we've also got sort of a light CRM in there, which admittedly has a ways to go, but offers you reminders and notes and activity tracking so that you can do everything that you need to do just in one place. So here's the thing. I put together a special deal for Scott tonight. Actually, maybe I should show you what it is first, but we're going to give you this book anyway. Here we go. So this is a Bank Prospector dashboard, right? So if I were going to come in here and look for non-performing note sellers of, what do you want to do, firsts or seconds?
I do firsts.
All right. So first thing I do, I go, all right, we'll look at our note sale indicators. Let's see, do we have, who's got loans for sale currently? Now this is just this particular quarter. And has, let's see. And has 1 4-family first liens. Actually, we won't do that. We'll do in non-accrual. Okay. So this is a little simple search. I can save the search if I want. I click run. And now this is a list of all the banks who currently have in a designated bucket. Now, this doesn't mean these are the only ones who are selling. This means they have set aside a bucket that says this non-accrual is for sale. And here they are, okay? So it looks like there's 33 at this moment. And so the next thing that I do is I'd say, all right, well, here, these are kind of some bigger banks up here, but let's go in, we'll pick this one. We'll hope there's no whammies there. I just added this to my target list. Whenever I do live demo like this, I'm always ready for something to go horribly wrong. You know, it's just like, I just get a bunch of, garbage on the screen, but this worked, so that's good. Which isn't typical, by the way. We've got full-time dev staff and monitoring and all that, but it never ceases to amaze me that when it comes to a demo, like that's when things happen. So here's what we can see is we've got their REO balances up here, and we can see what their REO trend is over here. We can see they added a ton of commercial right there in this most recent quarter, okay? If I scroll down here, I can see that they do apparently have loans and leases held for sale periodically, and they have non-accrual loans held for sale here as well on a regular basis. Here's mortgage banking activity. This is this is bigger stuff. Over here, this is our regulatory capital ratios, and what this says is whether or not this lender is healthy, right? So one of the things people think sometimes is that, oh, if they're really on the ropes, then they'll sell for, they'll sell really cheap. Fact is, it's counterintuitive, but it goes the other way. Because what happens is that reduces their total assets. And when they do that, it can really put them into a bind. So what we like to see is either green or yellow over here, not red. If it's red, that means that they might be in trouble there. This is our loan loss provisions that we talked about before. We can see they do keep adding to it every quarter. Came down a little bit that quarter, but that means that they're a little bit concerned about something in their portfolio because they keep adding to it, okay? If we scroll down here, they've got a $251 million portfolio. They've got just 1% here is non-performing, but I would probably call them anyway. So the next thing that we do, if we want to reach out to these folks, is we want to find a contact. And so here we've got the vice president of mortgage loans, a loan officer, executive vice president, commercial lending, credit officer, operations. And so we pick one of these. We say, all right, well, I like this one. And now I've got their email and their phone number and their address. I'm going to save that. I'm going to add it to my contacts. And now I'm off to the next. So I'm going to go back and pick another. Okay, we can just go right through like that. And so there's a lot of different ways that you can do this. When you go to export, we've got different ways that you can do it. We've got an advanced export here. If you're the type of person who's going to pull these all into a CRM, you can pick exactly the information that you want to be in the export, pull that into your own fields inside your CRM. If you're not really there yet and that's not what you're doing, then the other thing that we have here is we've got our watch list. And when we have lenders like this on our watch list, one of the things we can do is if we go into Beach Community Bank and I say, all right, well, I found this contact. Let's see, do I have contacts here? Yep, I've got this one here. So we'll do credit administration, right? Save that, take that contact. Now I say, all right, well, I'm going to call this person today. So today's the day we're going to make a call. Well, here's all their information right here. So I can say, call Jessica, no answer, call tomorrow. And what this will do is it'll automatically set a reminder for you to call tomorrow, because it reads this and it knows what you're talking about. Now, let's suppose we made this call, and so you have your whole contact history here. Let's suppose you made this call and you found out that this is the wrong number, or this email's bad, or whatever it is. We just click this flag button. You just tell us what it is. Is it a bad email? Is it a bad phone? Is they no longer with the company? And then what happens is it goes back to our back end system and it gets taken care of, and you get an updated contact. So there are other ways that you can find banks. You can just go to your local area. So we could, for example, just go and look in Texas. And there are 446 banks in Texas. And I can see that there are 117 of them. I'm kind of a commercial guy. I went for my CCIM training. I had a commercial real estate brokerage for a while. I really like the commercial side of things for a lot of different reasons. So I'd look at this and I'd say, all right, well, maybe if I'm going after commercial REO, I know a lot of our Note folks here works the same way. Here's a list of all the banks in Texas with foreclosed bank-owned commercial REO ranked by the total amount that they have on their books today. And so we talked about step one is we're going to build a list. And this is how you build your list when you have Bank Prospector. You don't do a whole bunch of research. You don't have to go around and pull out spreadsheets and all that. All you have to do is come in here and you find the lenders who have what you're looking for. So I'd go to residential, and let's say I'm looking for junior liens, and we'll start here with these 30 banks that have late stage non-performing residential junior liens, and we'll just add them to our list, right? This is our step one. And then step two is going to be that I'm going to go in here and I'm going to start adding contacts just to tie it all back in. Take a look. Yep, they're selling notes here. Not too much distress, but I might call them anyway. It's a healthy bank. They regularly sell non-accrual loans. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to find a contact. Here's Special Assets Group. Got that. And I'm on my way with this. Okay. And then we just repeat, rinse and repeat. So we also have credit unions. Oh, clicked on Alaska. Not going to be much up there. Let's see. Oh, I got a few. We can do a similar thing. Now they have different reporting, comes in differently. But what we can do is we'd say, all right, well, let's sort this by, let's see. We got anything on our loans held for sale? Here are lenders with loans held for sale. Credit unions, 543 of them. I could sort this down further by drilling into a state if I wanted to. In this case, I'm just going to click on a couple of these, add them to my list, and then I'm going to go in here. And it's a little bit different. So for our reporting here, we get the actual number of foreclosed and repossessed assets. So they have 75 of them. Only one of them is a property for $245,000 on their books here. If we look down here, we can see they've got $84.41 million in loans held for sale. Now, we don't know what portion of those are non-performing or not, but we can have a look at what they've got going in the rest of their portfolio here. And then down here, this is a list of, this is where they're listed. So heavy in San Antonio and some other places that you would know, Scott, that I don't know. And that's how it works. So, in addition to this, we have some training. So we actually have a lot of training. That's why a lot of folks end up here. Now, unlike Scott, who is the master of notes, I like to think we're sort of the masters of prospecting. So that is really what we're focused on here, is finding the deal. We do have some due diligence and some other like deal structure information in here, but what we really try to focus on is finding the deal, because it is the most important thing. Nothing happens till you find a deal, like absolutely nothing happens. So it's the most important thing. And I'm in a demo account. I don't know if it has access to this training, but we'll just give it a look. And it's all laid out like this. And we've, rather than go deep into what all this training is about, you can learn about it later. But what we really try to do is focus on getting you up to speed with being able to find the deals. So one of the things that this comes with is called Mastering Bank Prospector. And it is software, it is rather training that is specifically for Bank Prospector, shows you how to get up to speed really quick and understand what all the numbers mean and how you can be efficient with it. So with that, I'll take you back to the offer, which is this. We're going to give you, if you try us out today, you're going to keep the Bank Direct Success Manual. This is an exclusive here. We're going to give you, we have this thing, it's called the Verified Investors Database. And what it is that we've got several hundred investors in there who come and apply to get listed in the database. We ask them a series of qualifying questions, then we put them in the database, and you can search for them by asset type, by location, and then you'll get their phone number, their email. There's a deal submission form. You can communicate directly with them right there. And if you're not somebody who's already like Scott and I know like Scott teaches, who's already built a list of people to send your deals out to find your funding, to find your JV and all that, this is really going to help you do that very quickly. We have, if you've searched for non-performing notes and stuff, you've probably come across our site more than a couple of times on the Google there. And so have these people. And that's why we have such a big list for that. So if you want to try Bank Prospector today, we're at 6:05. That's pretty good timing for me, Scott. I think that's the fastest I've ever talked, except when I've been auctioning. If you want to try Bank Prospector today, we're going to give you the Bank Direct Success Manual just for trying. We're going to give you a bonus. Now, the way that bonus is going to work is after you sign up, if you're with us after the 7 days, you decide to stay with us, you write into support, say, hey, give me that bonus, say it in a nice way. And then somebody will add that to your account. Normally it's $199. We're going to do it for $99, so it's half price. And the only way to do that is through this linked, and I should mention the 7-day money back guarantee. So you'll pay $99 tonight. You'll get immediate access. You will not be able to do the advanced export and whatnot. What we found was that, unfortunately, this is a business where folks will come in and just rob you. And so we don't want to do that anymore. But you do get a 7-day money back guarantee. Come in, kick the tires, look around. Does it work like you expected? Are you getting the results that you want? You'll still see the contacts and their info and all that. You just won't be able to export. If you're not happy, let us know and we'll give you your money back. There's a special coupon code that is attached to this. So there's nowhere to there's no field to enter it in or anything like that. It's only attached to this, and it's a bit.ly link, and it's We Closed Notes 2018 with a capital W, capital C, capital N, We Closed Notes 20.
So I just put it in the chat roll here for those that are on Zoom, and I'm typing it in live, so you don't have to try to spell it all out there for you, Brent.
Thank you. So here's one thing that we're doing. We recently realized that for a certain set of folks, we're vastly undercharging. So we have, in the past, we were very much a software and, plugged into LinkedIn and plugged into data.com and all that. But now we're kind of a research firm, and we've invested a lot in going and doing all of this research and finding the contacts. And what we found is that we really have people with sort of some different tiers of need in terms of the volume of contacts and all that. And so we're moving to contact-based pricing. So this will be the last week that you can get in with unlimited contacts.
Wow.
After this week, come Monday and going forward, we're moving to contact-based pricing. So each month, based on the plan that you have, you'll get an allocation of contacts. So this really is a screaming deal for if you look out there, most of the time you'd be paying just a couple of bucks per, like if you go to zoominfo.com, or if you have a LinkedIn, if you're paying for their premium services, that mostly you're paying by contact. And so so at $99, it really is. We found ourselves we had folks coming in like family offices and acquisitions firms who are getting hundreds or thousands of contacts for $99. We said, whoa, that's maybe we should stop that. So that's what we're doing a week from today. So there it is. It's the bit.ly/we close notes 2018. The Bank Direct Mastery Academy is a 6-week training course. Now, if you decide that you're going to try us out, then the next page after you put your credit card in there and your information, we create your account. We're going to take you the next page where you can decide whether or not you want to get involved with the training. And it explains exactly what's involved in there. Some people want it. Some people are using other people's prospecting methods. But what we have in there is it's in-depth prospect research training. We'll help you, show you how to get set up and do some goal setting. We have scripts and templates for calling, for emails, for in-mail, for direct mail. We go over how to arrange things, seller rep, buyer rep, all that kind of stuff. Again, what we don't do is we don't do a lot of the stuff that Scott does. We don't talk about workout. We don't talk about note due diligence really. We talk really about finding and putting together the deal and making sure that you get paid. Here's the other thing that I want to give you for hanging on with me here tonight. If you think this sounds interesting, but you think you might want to do it yourself, you can do it yourself. And we put together a little zip file for you that has some instructions on where you would go and what you would do in order to do this. And that's at bit.ly/ now you got to get this right or it won't work, /DIY/REO/note kit. Okay. And what that'll do, you're going to go direct to a zip file download. And then you open that up and there's a virus inside. No, you open that up and there's PDF and instructions and shows you exactly how to go through that stuff. So, so that's that.
I copied that in the chat roll as well for those that are here on Zoom and in the Facebook message.
So that is the link. So you have questions for me?
Lisa asked the question here is what the 99 covers what period of time? How long is that good?
A month. Per month.
Per month. Great.
Correct.
So that makes sense. Lisa, Chris asked that. Yes, Corey, you'll be able to catch this replay. We'll have it up tonight for everybody if you came in late. It is a phenomenal offer, but go ahead and click on the link. I mean, you got 7 days. You can opt out if you don't like it, right?
Yeah, kick the tires. You know, I've been in business now since 2009. You're secure. I'm pretty well known. People know, you know, you can find me. I'm not going to run off with you $99.
No,
we'll still be in business, you know, next week and next year and all that. And if you sign up and you don't like it, try it for a week. Tell us, you know, hey, this didn't work out. Cancel your thing and we'll return your funds.
Mm-hmm. That's an awesome thing you're doing, Brett. That's really, really freaking badass.
We've really worked hard. We're working on, one of the things that we've liked to do is that I have folks who've been with me since 2012.
Yeah.
And we have always grandfathered people in. So we have people who are still paying $300 a year from long ago, probably getting our future pricing is be at the top end will be more than that a month. So if you get in now and you stay with us, you're locked in. We are working on a release of 5.0. We're on 4.0 now. We're working on a release of 5.0, which will be better for mobile. So if you're on your iPad or your tablet or, you know, whatever, it's going to work a lot better there. Yeah, do we have some questions at all?
Lisa asked a question. How much is the 6-week training course?
$497. You have 1 year's access to it. We suggest that you complete it in 1 per week and that you do the practicum, like you do the exercises in there, because what some folks do is they come in and it's like Netflix or something, because there's a lot of stuff in there. You know, it's I don't know, 28 hours or something. It's a lot of video. but we try to make it so that each thing is actionable and you can get to the place that you need to be. Now, one of the other things that we have in there is that we have a curated list of all of our best interviews that we've ever had. And that there's a mobile player for it. And on these things, we go really in depth with people about very specific things. In fact, I think you're on a couple of those.
Yeah.
And that's just another benefit that you have in there.
Let's see here. Laura Blunk says, I am renewing. So is the $99, is it grandfathered in?
Email us at support@distresspro.com because I don't have your account details here, so I can't speak to that.
Yeah, Laura, so just email, okay? Scott Hawley asks, Black Friday special, tonight and tonight only. If you sign up, the training class is free.
No. No.
Now, guys, this is yeah, sorry. This is your Black Friday sale already at $99, guys. Yeah. Come on.
So we have it through the end of business or rather the end of the day on Wednesday at midnight. You know, in order to run this kind of operation, we have servers. I have half dozen full-time staff. Like it's I appreciate that people want things cheaper, but I would like more. So
yeah,
I mean, we're gonna stay in business here and keep going. So I try to make it as affordable as possible. I found out that when we go too low, kind of get the wrong mix in there, and so we're not doing that.
No, this is well worth it. Well worth it. Totally.
I think one of the big differences out there, you can find things where you'll find like, guides or whatever, and some of the data is right, some of it's not. I find, a lot of the stuff out there is like 50-50. But a bigger point is that there's most of them, you're just going to get like a main line or a department line. And what we're trying to do is give you real names, emails, titles, person to connect with. I mean, if I just give you the phone number for On Point Credit Union, well, you can call in, but 20 calls later, you're looking for the right person. And so what we try to do is cut all that out for you.
Yeah, exactly. Lisa says, yes, your pricing is quite fair. Exactly.
Thank you.
Nanette has a question. I came in late because of work. Where can I get a replay tonight? This is live streaming on my Facebook page, Nanette, so you'll be able to catch it the fastest there. It'll probably take me about an hour and a half to get the video downloaded and uploaded. So you can catch it, but you go to my Facebook page and watch it there. Replay. The links are actually in the comment section there as well. As Brett said, get signed up for it. There's no, like you said, you've got it 7 days. Don't like it, kick out. Not a big deal, right, Brett?
Here's a frequently asked question: is that some people come in and they say, "All right, I want Bank Prospector," and then they say, "All right, I want the training." And they start with the training, and then they go, "You know what? I need a little more time with the training before I really dive into the software here." And we'll do that for you if you sign up tonight, and then you get the training, and you decide, I want to spend maybe a few more weeks with this training before I start paying for the software. We do that. It's not advertised, but we will pause your billing on the software and let you, have a few weeks to get your.
You get through the holidays.
What's that?
You get through Thanksgiving and Christmas shopping.
Yeah, exactly. Which I think is actually a pretty good time to spend with some training. You know what I mean? Exactly.
Yeah. You can tell your folks or the in-laws, I'm sorry, I'm going through a training course right now. I can't spend time listening to you.
Yeah, drone on about your pathetic lives. No, I'm just kidding. I never said that to my family.
Right, exactly. We did have a question a little earlier on. Ankur asked, how do we learn more about C&I loans?
This business is a funny business in that, well, it's not a funny business. It's like a lot of businesses, but where there are people, organizations who sort of carve out their niches or whatever.
Yeah.
And the way to learn about that is to start getting involved, right? And so if you're making calls and you're uncovering deals, right? You get a live one, you go find somebody who's doing these deals and you say, I've got a live one. right? You cut them in, you do the deal, you learn in the process. I know that for my first couple of years, I gave up a lot of commissions, a lot of fees to mentor, like not hundreds of dollars. We're talking like a lot of money, tens of thousands of dollars or more, hundreds of thousands probably, for the mentorship. Because if you don't, if you're still looking, then if it's not an asset type that Scott is an expert in, then you need to find an expert, and they're out there, and there's plenty of them. You find one in our investors database. If it were me, if I found a CNI deal, I got approached the other day by somebody who's looking to buy restaurant paper. So anything where they can take over food service type stuff. You would find the deal, and then you go to the investor and say, "Hey, I've found this deal. Let's do it. Cut me in. Show me how we do it."
Exactly. I gave up a lot of money on my first round of deals as well to get myself through it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Nanette, no problem. We understand there's Thanksgiving coming up there. Like he said, he's willing to extend it for you, so you're not missing out with you being in charge of the turkey cooking. Your Black Friday sales now, everybody, $99
yep. Through Wednesday night. Yep.
Good stuff.
Yep.
Once again, guys and gals, that's the link bit.ly/we close notes 2018.
Yep.
Exactly as it's spelled, because the bit link, the links are in the Facebook comments on my page, and then also here in the chat roll as well there for you. So
I should say this: if you do decide to do the training, we have a script builder in there. So what I did is I worked with this. Do you know the Sandler Sales Institute?
Oh yeah, I know them. Yeah,
I'm a big fan. I think
great stuff.
It makes a lot of sense. And so I hired a private coach. Cost me $500 an hour. And we worked on how to make better calls. And I had already had I used to work in a boiler room, 100 dials a day, 2 hours talk time, minimum. So it wasn't foreign to calls. But I wanted to make sure that I really got it right, especially as you're moving up market and you're talking to people, where it's important that you get it right. So I worked with him. We came up with a script that is the script that I use to go and use, to find deals. And so what I did is I took that script and we deconstructed it. And it's one of the things that we go through in the training is how to put together exactly the script. So we've got a call flow chart. And then what it is we've got the different sections where you put in whatever's particular to your business, right? So here's what we say. Here's the thing you change for your business. Here's what we say. And what you do is you fill that out, you submit it to me, and I'll actually do a personal review for you. So once a week, I get all of the scripts that have come in. And I know I see the look on your face and you're thinking, how does he do that for $497 and still talk to people? And so I'll get the script and I'll do a personal review. I record it for you, and then I send back the audio file for you with my changes. So you have a personalized copy of the things that I suggest that you do to improve or fix.
That's awesome, dude.
So
that's good stuff.
Anything else in there?
That's it, man.
All right.
That's it. Guys and gals, take advantage of this. Your Friday special starts today.
Yep. It goes through, what day is today? Monday?
Today's Monday. You said it ends Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday at midnight.
Take advantage of this now, everybody.
All right.
Brett, as always, brother, thank you so much for coming out on a Monday night here and giving some great content, great training, and then also offering an amazing special that they should all take advantage of. One of the biggest things we saw on Note Camp was people wanting to take action, get started. Here's the no bullshit way for you to get rock and roll, everybody.
Yeah. Get it tonight, consume your first week, and then hit the ground running next week.
Exactly.
Well, thanks for having me, Scott.
Hey, man, thanks as always. Have a great Thanksgiving. Enjoy it. And I'll talk to you later. All right, bud?
All right, buddy. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Brett. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for this episode of Note Night in America. Thank you so much to Brett Palombo there coming on out. And look forward to it. You guys that take advantage of that, I would highly, highly take action. If you aren't, guys, what's the excuse? There's no excuses. At $99 there and then having time to work through it a little bit, and he's even willing to extend a little bit for you. Come on, man. Come on. get rock and rolling, get signed up for it. You will not be disappointed. Brett always delivers great stuff, man of his word, and he'll take good care of you. So other than that, everybody, go out, take action, and we'll see you all at the top, everybody. Bye.